first floor. Go to any computer lab and ask them, and they will give you a better idea which office to go to. And the CL129 is one computer lab, and DH111 or 110 is another computer lab. And people who work there, they have better knowledge of who can help you. Yeah, try to get that resolved as soon as possible. By the way, I sent the test, the lab exam to the test center yesterday, so it should be there today. Now, you have a lab right after this class, so you can either take it when you finish the lab today, if they're still open, or you can do it on Monday. Monday after class, time to go to the test center. Great. You're in my lab, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now, if you don't have your lab goggle today, we are actually working with some samples today. So if you don't have your goggles today, I have some extra in the lab, and for $50, you can borrow one. Put them in paragraph and write them up. That's good.
Mr. Sear,
Yeah.
would you expect us to have memorized like the relative sizes of like the nucleus and the atom, like the general atom?
That information. If we need you to do calculation related to those mass numbers, and we'll get that.
Okay. Like be memorized, it's just preferred not to.
Do you teach any other chemistry class?
Yeah, well, set of chemistry classes.
You teach organic?
I did in summer.
Yeah. 9 more weeks.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just that's a tough course.
9 weeks, 8 credits with lab.
It's actually 8 weeks. It's actually an 8-week class in the summer. And 14 week is tough, and 8 is even further.
This is the 5 week.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Well, the good thing about the 5 week there is that you get it done in a shorter period of time. You just don't have enough time, as much time to process the information. It's definitely there's a plus and minus on both sides of the.
This and 102 starts right after.
102 start, and those people who are taking 102 start on July 6th or 7th or 6th.
Yep.
I think it's the first Monday in July. So, and then 5 more weeks there. So it ends in August 7th or August 8th, somewhere in there. So there goes your summer. But think about it, if you finish 2 courses, it's a one year course of chemistry, you finish it in 10 weeks there. So that's a pretty good deal.
How come they don't have like a summer session in August?
Well, the fall will start in August. So.
Yeah, I could still handle that.
I mean, the HCC's summer schedule is completely packed. We start right after Memorial Day. We end a week before the faculty has to come back from the fall semester.
Yeah.
So a lot of people choose not to. This is the first summer I actually choose to teach only the 5-week course. Previous summers I did Chem 101, one of the 2 Chem 101s there,
Yeah.
and then I did the evening 201.
Yeah.
And then I do the second half of Chem 102. So I don't really have a summer. And by the first week of August when I finish, I have about a week of break, and then I have to come back on the 15th of August there. So this year they moved. This course actually runs from 8 to 12:30. The
Yeah.
afternoon course used to run from 12 to 4:30.
Yeah.
So this year they moved that 12 to 12:30, so 12:30 to 5, and I figured I'll try 5 weeks back to back, and that way I can have at least a month and a half maybe as a break there.
Yeah.
So the end of June, looking forward to it.
Who's teaching 102 in July?
I think we have Professor Prentice, Linda Prentice, is doing the morning Chem 102. There are 2 sections of Chem 102 in the morning. And then Professor Sobey is doing the afternoon. There's only 1 section.
I think I have him. Yeah.
All right, and let's pick up this topic again. We'll look into the second learning objective. We finished the first learning objective, and again, a lot of information were covered here. And I do need you to take the time, read the textbook, in addition to going through the PowerPoint slides and looking at the examples that we give you there, especially that calculation, finding the weighted average atomic mass there. Okay? We didn't go step by step in detail. But in your textbook on page 67, in the textbook there's a detailed step-by-step solution. And remember, that is, I think the textbook gives you two different types of questions there. One, we ask you to calculate the average atomic mass, and the other, we ask you to calculate the mass, the relative mass for one particular isotope. Okay, so it goes, and remember that equation there. Everything will be given to you but one. So whichever is the unknown, using that equation, you should be able to find the unknown there. Okay. So make sure you take the time and read the textbook there. And our second learning objective, talking about atoms, molecules, and ions. And we now know what atoms is made up of, and what is an ion. How do we define ion? We also introduced the definition of isotope. So every time we have a definition, you got to know how we define those terms there. And again, definition and dimensional analysis, those are two parts, the basic two parts of Chem 101. Okay, so as long as you know the definition, you are able to do dimensional analysis, and then you will be fine in Chem 101. So in the second learning objective there, we want you to, well, the first one we said we're going to give you a periodic table. We only showed you a periodic table briefly there. And in the second learning objective, we will dissect the periodic table. We'll try to figure out which part of the periodic table is where the metals are located, and which part of the periodic table is where the non-metals are located. Now that we have the term metal, non-metal defined in the, well, we didn't really give it definition there, but we introduced the term metal, non-metal. So we want you to be able to indicate, given a periodic table, we want you to be able to indicate the location of a metal element and non-metal elements there. And compare the physical property, chemical property of metals and non-metal. And there's a list of things about the physical property of metals, physical property of non-metal there. So make sure you understand what are the general properties of metal, what are the general properties of non-metal, and also to describe the organization of the periodic table. Now we have what we call the main group elements, transition metal elements, and then we have metal and non-metal. Okay, so understand the organization of the periodic table, and this is probably the single most important document in modern chemistry. We accumulated all the knowledge and that we know about the elements there. We put it in that table. Everything that we work on, everything that we deal with, pretty much has something to do with the periodic table. So when we were talking about the new building, this new SET building we're having, you probably noticed that on the other side of the campus there, it's a big pile of dirt. We're constructing a new science, engineering, and technology building there. We're talking about the ideas of putting things and image or documents and on a piece of glass there and hanging them in the hallway there. And I just recommend we need to put a periodic table in there. Although it's very